77 Inspirational Boredom Quotes to Inspire You. The state of feeling disinterested in one's surroundings is called boredom. You start feeling like life is boring. If you are feeling boring, then here we are sharing some inspirational boredom quotes to inspire you. Table of content. FAQs about boredom. What is boredom? Boredom means a lack of interest in anything or any kind of work, feeling disinterested in one's surroundings, and feeling dull in life. Boredom is a common feeling that happens to many people in this world. What are the symptoms of boredom? If you are sitting and no one is sitting next to you, you may feel an emptiness at that moment. This creates a feeling of despair. It has other symptoms. As you are unable to pay attention to anything, you lose interest in what is happening around you. You may feel apathetic or tired. You may feel irritable many times. What is the cause of boredom? You experience boredom differently. In some cases, inadequate rest or nutrition may be the cause of boredom, low levels of mental stimulation, lack of control over your daily activities, etc. How to get relief from boredom. There are many ways to get relief from boredom. Here we are sharing some inspirational boredom quotes that will help you get the ways to get relief from boredom. You can read more about boredom. Inspirational boredom quotes. Boredom comes simply from ignorance and lack of imagination. Susan Ertz. You have to evolve. Stagnation breeds boredom. Matt Bellamy. Boredom is the feeling that everything is a waste of time, serenity, that nothing is. Thomas Zaz. Boredom comes from a boring mind. Metallica. Man is the only animal who feels boredom. It is a great prerogative. It is part of the dignity of human beings. Osho. Boredom is a pleasing antidote for fear. Daphne du Maurier. At the end of the day, your ability to connect with your readers comes down to how you make them feel. Benjamin J. Carey. Boredom is the dream bird that hatches the egg of experience. A rustling in the leaves drives him away. Walter Benjamin. Without lies, humanity would perish of despair and boredom. Anatole France. Boredom, that traitorous devil that possesses us to do things sometimes useless and often stupid. A. Paul Lejeune-Massabio. Boredom is not far from bliss. It is bliss seen from the shores of pleasure. Roland Barthes. Something doing every minute may be a gesture of despair, or the height of a battle against boredom. B.F. Skinner. Quarantine boredom quotes. My despair is less despair than boredom and loneliness. Anthony Swafford. If I planned everything out in advance, I'd expire of boredom. Peter Straub. Perhaps the world's second worst crime is boredom. The first is being a bore. Cecil Beaton. Boredom is not a thing. It's not a feeling or a condition. It is the absence of feelings, things, and conditions. A. Gill. Boredom was my bedmate and it was hogging the sheets. Andrew Davidson. Teens think listening to music helps them concentrate. It doesn't. It relieves them of the boredom that concentration on homework induces. Marilyn Voss Savant. Boredom is the root of all evil, the despairing refusal to be oneself. Soren Kierkegaard. Virtuous people often revenge themselves for the constraints to which they submit by the boredom which they inspire. Confucius. I am never bored. To be bored is an insult to oneself. Jules Renard. Boredom is, therefore, a vital problem for the moralist, since at least half the sins of mankind are caused by the fear of it. Bertrand Russell. The most total opposite of pleasure is not pain but boredom, for we are willing to risk pain to make a boring life interesting. Peter Kreeft. Quotes about boredom and creativity. Boredom always precedes a period of great creativity. Robert M. Pirsig. I think one of the most important things for creativity is boredom. Maggie Rogers. Boredom, the desire for desires. Leo Tolstoy. Jump out the window if you are the object of passion. Flee it if you feel it. Passion goes, boredom remains. Coco Chanel. He who seeks rest finds boredom. He who seeks work finds rest. Dylan Thomas. I've got a great ambition to die of exhaustion rather than boredom. Thomas Carlyle. You'll find boredom where there is the absence of a good idea. Earl Nightingale. Boredom is your imagination calling to you. Sherry Tuckle. Nobody is bored when he is trying to make something that is beautiful or to discover something that is true. William Inga. Heights of Boredom quotes. Only boring people get bored. Ruth Burke. For me, the opposite of happiness isn't sadness, but boredom. Sushant Singh Rajput. In order to live free and happily, you must sacrifice boredom. It is not always an easy sacrifice. Richard Bach. Everything smaller than heaven bores us, because only heaven is bigger than our hearts. Peter Kreeft. When a man plays with your heart, it is for one of two reasons, He knows he can or he is undecided. Shannon L. Alder. Risking your own life in order to entertain others is the height of stupidity. Mokakoma Mokanoana. When we hold back out of laziness, that is, when we tie ourselves into knots of boredom. Walter Annenberg. Funny boredom quotes. A bore is someone who deprives you of solitude without providing you with the company. Oscar Wilde. Boredom is just the reverse side of fascination. Both depend on being outside rather than inside a situation, and one leads to the other. Arthur Schopenhauer 7. There are no uninteresting things, only uninterested people. Gilbert K. Chesterton. I would rather die of passion than of boredom. Vincent van Gogh. To thrive in life, you need 3 bones: a wishbone, a backbone, and a funny bone. Reba McEntire. Flying is hours and hours of boredom sprinkled with a few seconds of sheer terror. Pappy Boyington. Boredom is just the reverse side of fascination. Arthur Schopenhauer 13. There are only 2 emotions in a plane: boredom and terror. Orson Welles. Isn't it funny how day by day nothing changes, but when you look back everything is different? C.S. Lewis. The truth is that everyone is bored, and devotes himself to cultivating habits. Albert Camus. Short bored quotes. Is life not 1,000 times too short for us to bore ourselves? Friedrich Nietzsche. Boredom is the legitimate kingdom of the philanthropic. Virginia Woolf. I can excuse everything but boredom. Boring people don't have to stay that way. Hedy Lamarr. Never underestimate the determination of a kid who is time-rich and cash-poor. Cory Doctorow. The writer's curse is that even in solitude, no matter its duration, he never grows lonely or bored. Chris Jamie. Our labor preserves us from 3 great evils: weariness, vice, and want. Voltaire, Candide. The Beatles saved the world from boredom. George Harrison. Boredom can be a lethal thing on a small island. Christopher Moore. The 2 enemies of human happiness are pain and boredom. Arthur Schopenhauer. Rules equal boredom, and I don't like that. Simon Cowell. Boring is the right thought at the wrong time. Jack Gardner. Motivational quotes for boredom. We get bored with habits because they stop delighting us. Belays. Something opens our wings. Something makes boredom and hurt disappear. Someone fills the cup in front of us, we taste only sacredness. Rumi. Boredom is the conviction that you can't change, the shriek of unused capacities. Saul Bellow. You need to let the little things that would ordinarily bore you suddenly thrill you. Andy Warhol. Boredom is your mind and body's way of telling you you're not living up to your potential. Hal Sparks. When you feel bored, pump your adrenaline. Toba Beta. Boredom is the inner conflict we suffer when we lose desire, when we lack a lacking. Robert McKee. Boredom is the price one pays for not enjoying everything. Marty Rubin. People who understand how to convert their time into useful products do not complain of boredom. Sunday Adelaja. Bored Life quotes. Life swings like a pendulum backward and forward between pain and boredom. Arthur Schopenhauer. What kind of life can you have in a house without books? Sherman Alexie. I don't believe in an afterlife, so I don't have to spend my whole life fearing hell, or fearing heaven even more. For whatever the tortures of hell, I think the boredom of heaven would be even worse. Isaac Asimov. The life of the creative man is led, directed, and controlled by boredom. Avoiding boredom is one of our most important purposes. Susan Sontag. Every day is important for us because it is a day ordained by God. If we are bored with life, there is something wrong with our concept of God and His involvement in our daily lives. Even the dullest and tedious days of our lives are ordained by God and ought to be used by us to glorify Him. Jerry Bridges. I always think boredom is to some extent the fault of the bored. Kate Ross. Life wore a man out, wore a man thin. Tomorrow would be a better day. Charles Bukowski. Life is for living and working at. If you find anything or anybody a bore, the fault is in yourself. Queen Elizabeth I of England.